The point number one why marriage is not a riddle is because people are getting into it without the knowledge necessary. And I can easily say that people who do not know what they're doing and entering into the marriage with these two Hebrew words that I am no longer using. I am no longer using these words. You know, when you go to a wedding today, in Hebrew we wish everyone, and I think it's the international words today, everybody in the world know it. We say Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov is good luck. I have to be humble and to admit that I am 100% in agreement with this pilot that marriage that are depending on luck and are not depending on the proper knowledge are going to suffer, are going to face challenges that are so unnecessary if we would take the prior education necessary before we enter to marriage. The second suggestion that I would like to also emphasize as to why marriage is not a riddle is because I think what happens from the moment that we meet each other until the wedding night as phase one, and what happened to our life at phase two is something pretty simple, but it's important for us to know. When you meet any person prior to marriage and you ask them, why are you getting married? They will tell you that I do believe that when I will get married, my life will be such an incredible life. I'm going to increase my joy and happiness. I am going to enhance the quality of my life because I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a beautiful woman waiting for me with such a joy and happiness. She will have the beautiful smile and she will cook for me and she will give me anything I need and she will greet me in such a beautiful, lovely words. And my life will be paradise because my house will be clean. My dinner will be on the table, ready for me. My food at the home will be smells from the beginning, from the entrance of the street. And at the moment I turn off my car to enter into my house, my life is going to change. My life is going to be like paradise. And everything in my life will be so complete. I'm going home to relax, to recharge my batteries, to go tomorrow to work. You know what it's called in English? La La Land. That's called La La Land. I think someone in this educational world could be anyone from our parents, society, media, you name it. I think they had an agenda to create some kind of a fantasy La La Land in our mind about what marriage is all about. Because I do believe that most people believe that when they get married, they are going to enhance the quality of life. Because now I'm going to have someone that will make my life an incredible life. Now I'm going to be happy. When I'm going to marry her, I'm going to be happy. And she looks at him and she said, whenever I'm going to marry him, he's the guy that I always wanted. Well, this fantasy La La Land has some natures that we were not aware of. After a while, after you achieve your goal, what happens usually is that there are two doors in our home. There is one door that when you open that door, this fantasy La La Land is walking out. And when the La La Land lady walks out, there is something that comes in from the other door, and that's called reality. And in reality, when we face the reality, when we shake hand with reality, we all of a sudden realize that our dreams are not necessarily coming through. That our dreams might fall into the category of fantasy that has nothing to do with reality. Because the reality is completely different. The reality is that my wife's mood is not always the same. The reality shows that my dear husband, that was always a happy person, all of a sudden, after a little of conversation with his mother, he's changing faces. He's not the same one I knew before. My mother-in-law, and I felt that she is such an adorable lady, I don't know what happened to her. She has changed. She's different. My dear, your mother-in-law is not different. She is what she was from day one. But she was real, and you were in the La La Land. You lived in a different country. You refused to wear the proper glasses that will show you reality. Now, the reality is that marriage is a beautiful system. The reality is that marriage, this unity between husband and wife, can be such an incredible life together. Again, if we know what it takes. If we understand that in order to have a beautiful marriage life, my dear friends, you gotta work for it. You got to invest into it. You gotta pay attention to details. You have to sweat on the job. This is the reality. The reality is that the reward is out there for you to have an incredible and beautiful life. But you got to work for it. That part was missing from the preparation. Nobody ever told you that marriage is not depending on luck. The reality of it is not depending on luck. The reality of it is depending on hard work, on stepping back and learn your wife. Study her. I remember, I will never forget. I have to share it with you. I remember in one of my trips to Panama, I came back, and here in LAX, the LA International Airport, I came after I landed. I took my suitcases and I went to the custom. And I will never forget this because it was a very long line behind me. You know, when you go to the custom, sometimes they ask you some questions. Where did you go? Why did you go? For how long did you go? What did you bring with you? So I go to the custom guy. He was probably in a good mood. And he looked at me and he said, "Where are you coming from, sir?" I said, "Panama." "For how long have you been there?" 3 days. "What did you do there?" I said, "I'm a marriage counseling and I gave a lecture about marriage." He said, "Really? That's interesting. Could you tell me in one line the secret of marriage?"